Jnanatimandasya Ganangana Salakaya Chaksu Sumita Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishna Stapita Yena Bhutale Sanya Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swam Parantikam Vandeha Se Guru Shitam Padakamala Se Guru Vaishnavascha Se Rupan Zagyatan Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Sajivan Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanan Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devan Sri Radha Krishna Parasahagana Lalita Sri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kantu Radha Kanta Namastate Tata Kanchana Gorange Radha Vrindavan Peshabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Haripi Krishna Vasudevaya Devaki Nandana Yachan Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah Namo Mahabhadaya Krishna Prima Padayate Krishna Ya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gora Tvishe Namah Vanchakapatarubhyascha Kripa Srinve Bacha Patetanam Pavanabhyo Bhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ananda Lila Maya Vigraya Himabhata Vichavi Sundaraya Tasma Maha Prema Sapadaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namana Mastate Chaitanya Chandraya Namana Mastate. So I thank everyone for being here this afternoon for our daily discourse recitation of Bhagavad-Gita. So Bhagavad-Gita is Lord Krishna's supreme teaching to his dear devotee Arjuna, but the Lord is teaching us. But he's giving his message through his dear devotee Arjuna. So, and of course, even though the Bhagavad-Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago, still the message remains fresh today. You can read Bhagavad-Gita hundreds of times, thousands of times. You will not get tired of reading. You will not get tired of it. You know, many of us have been reading for decades of this Bhagavad-Gita, but each time you read, it's like fresh. It's like it's never been heard before. You know, each time you read it, it's always the same, especially when you read the commentaries of the Acharyas. The Acharyas, who are the self-realized persons who have understood the Supreme. So you read their commentaries, then it just makes everything become much, much alive. And of course, the purpose of the Gita is not just to have some dry knowledge. The purpose of the Gita is to enable one to come to God, to understand Krishna, and to ultimately surrender unto Him. And Lord Krishna says at the end of the Gita, he says, Savadama Pratyagya, he said that if you just surrender to me, give up, all kinds of religious endeavors, and then you will, you come to me. You have nothing to fear. You come to me, everything will be okay. Nothing to fear. So which means you become Krishna's devotee, you conquer all kinds of fear. Because this material world is always fearful. Every stage is fearful. Is it Bayan Ditaji Satan Bas? I say that the material world is a place of fear. There's a fear at every stage. But the moment one becomes a devotee of Krishna, all the fears go away. No more fear. So in this chapter 8, which is basically called a Tarak Brahma Yoga, or the attaining the Supreme. So, because Arjun had asked so many questions at the beginning of this chapter, Ken Karma, Ken Brahma, Ken Karma, Dhyatma, Ken Purushoti. He was trying to find out what is karma, what is this, what is this material world, what is spirituality, what is the goal of life, who is God. So Arjun was asking this question at the beginning of this chapter. And then, so the Lord is explaining, this is giving the explanation about what is material and what is spiritual, what is the process of attainment, and what is the ultimate attainment. So this is very interesting chapter, very interesting chapter. So the previous verse, the Lord had talked about this material world that is always manifest, and then sometimes it's unmanifest, and sometimes it's manifest. Avyakta. Unmanifest means avyakta, and it become vyakta, become manifest, and then after some times again become unmanifest again, which means it's a bhuta praliyate, that the living entity comes, and then there's a destruction of this material world, and then again, when there's a destruction, all the living entities, the yoke again become merged into that unmanifest nature. And then, especially after the Brahma's day, the next day of Brahma, then all the living entities again comes out. They become manifest again. So which means newer bodies are again given to different living entities. And of course, this is according to their particular karma, which had been performed in the previous manifestation. Now, the Lord is going to now talk about that realm which is beyond manifestation and unmanifestation. That beyond that realm that is always eternal, that is always there. So the Lord is not going to talk about that now, and that's what we're going to read in this text number 20 and 21 of chapter 8. So you can just read. We can just read together. I have a book with a different commentary here. So we are in chapter 8, text 20 and 21 today. Okay. Parastasmatu bhavanyo vyakta sanatana yasa savesu bhutesu nasyatsu na vinashyate. Maybe we can just chant together. Parastasmatu bhavanyo vyakta sanatana yasa savesu bhutesu nasyatsu na vinasyati. Para, transcendental. Tasmat, to that. To, but. Bhavaha, nature. Anya, another. Avyakta, unmanifest. Avyaktat, to the unmanifest. Sanatana, eternal. Yasaha, that which. Sarveshu, all. Bhuteshu, manifestation. Nasyatsu, being annihilated. Na, never. Vinasyati, is annihilated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Yet, there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. purport. Krishna's superior spiritual energy is transcendental and eternal. It is beyond all the changes of material nature, which is manifest and annihilated during the days and nights of Brahma. Krishna's superior energy is completely opposite in quality to material nature. Superior and inferior nature are explained in the 7th chapter. So just like in the beginning of 7th chapter, Lord Krishna said, Bhumiya Punaloba, you come on a Buddhi Evacha. The Lord talks about his 8 elements which consists of this material world. And the whole material world is said to be inferior. The Lord said, these are my external inferior energy, which is basically the composition of the material world. Because material world, everything is inferior because they are not eternal. So the Lord in this text we are reading today is explaining that even though He has been given the explanation of the manifest and unmanifest nature of this material world, because in the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma manifests from the navel of Lord Krishna, of Lord Vishnu, and prior to the manifestation of Brahmaji is the elements, the totality of material nature, which is called Pradhan. Pradhan is the totality of material nature. When there's no division, it's just one big lump, and then from there, by the wish of the Lord, then everything started becoming separated. Whereby different elements, like 24 elements, become manifested, like this, the different senses, and the sense, the working senses, there are 24 elements in general. And then from there, then Lord Brahma, of course, is manifested, and Lord Brahma as the engineer of the universe. So Lord Brahma created, he put everything together by making different creations, universes, the sages, then the Prajapatis who all came from Lord Brahma and all that. And and of course Lord Brahma, he lives for 100 years. Now, he said that the one day of Brahmaji is said to be 8.4 billion years. No, Sahasra Yuga Payanta Ahaya Brahmano Vidu, that Sahasra Yuga means 1,000 ages taken together. That is one day of Brahma. So ages means, if you put them, there are 4 ages: Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga. So altogether is 4.3 billion. Then it's 4.3 million years, isn't it? So 4.3 million years, that is the four yugas take together. So Kali Yuga is supposed to be 4,22,000, that's Kali Yuga. The previous to that is Dwapara Yuga, it's double that. So Dwapara double Kali Yuga, and then Treta Yuga doubles Dwapara Yuga, and then Treta and Satya Yuga double that. So you altogether 4.3 million years. And if you multiply that by 1,000, that's a 4.3 billion years. That is one day of Brahma. And then there's, of course, one night, the same 4.3 billion years is night. So one day of Brahma consists of total of 8.6 billion years. And now, Okolo Brahmaji, he lives for, you have 30 days of that, then you have 12 months of that, and then you have 100 years. So if we had to calculate the lifetime of Brahma, the calculator will break. That is some trillions of years it lives. That is lifetime of Brahmaji. So every day of Brahma, in his daytime, all the living entities become manifest. That's when, and then his nighttime, they again become unmanifest. So manifest or unmanifest, that goes on. It has been going on perpetually, and because Brahmaji lived for such a long period of time, it's said that to be, it becomes like just like eternal, but it's not really eternal. It's just because it's so long. So the Lord is saying that this manifest nature of Brahma, there is something that is much more superior to that. Because material world is always manifest, always unmanifest. Now, up to the Swagaloka, because the living entities, because they are accumulating karma, and the accumulation of karma, that will determine their next reincarnation. But above the higher planet, there is no karma involved. So when the world is destroyed, after the day of Brahma, they destroy up to those higher planets, and the great stages, after the Mahaloka, and all, so they all go to the planet of Brahma, so that the planet of Brahma do not become destroyed. That they stay, the where Brahma stays, because that's it's actually called Satyaloka, the Brahma Loka, that does not get destroyed. So all the great sages from the Mahaloka, Janaloka, they all go to the abode of Brahmaji, and then they stay there until the very end of Lord Brahma's life. They stay there; they don't get destroyed. But destruction is only happen up to the lower planet, up to the middle planet. But on the topmost planet, there is no destruction. So they stay till the end of Brahma's life. So this manifest and unmanifest night. So the Lord is not talking about what is superior to that. What is superior to that? So the Lord is saying, Parastasmatu bhavan yo vyaktu sanatana yasa saveshu bhutesu nasyetsuna vinasyati, that there is something that is superior to that. The Lord says, superior to the unmanifest state of Brahma's night is another unmanifest object, which is eternal, which is not destroyed when everything else is destroyed. Because there has to be something that is superior to the temporary nature of this material world. And that's why the Vedic scriptures, the sages, they say that there's something that is beyond this temporary nature of this world. Because what is temporary, the effect is that it's always giving us trouble all the time. It's always giving us trouble, miseries, everything is there. Happiness and distress is always there because it's temporary. Sometimes we are happy and sometimes we are not happy. But there must be a superior place that is beyond the temporary nature, temporary situation of the material world. So therefore, the Vedic scripture said that is Ashatoma Jyoti Gamaya, that so the Vedas is saying that get out of this, this temporary nature. What is Asat? Asat, that non-existent. Come to the light. Jyoti Gamaya, come to the light, come to the light. Come to that place where there is no darkness. Because if you are in that place where there is no darkness, then all the misery is gone. There's no more misery. There's no more anxiety. And that place is always there. It's always there. The Lord, that's what the Lord says is Sanatana. The Sanatana means it's always eternal. The bliss, the happiness is eternal. You see? So in the commentary by Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, so he's saying that the rebirth of everyone stated in this in the previous verse, so which also elaborated in verses 17 to 19, by showing the birth and destruction of all entities under the control of karma. Now, what devotees attains, Mahupet here is described. Because, the spiritual world is said to be unmanifest, so which means it's not known by anyone. But devotees can see the spiritual world. That state that is unmanifest, avyakta means unmanifest nature. God, Krishna, is not manifest to everyone. No one can know God unless one becomes his devotee. Of course, the Lord said that Jama Kame Chame Divian, that if one can understand my nature, because I made my appearance again and again in this material world, anyone who can understand that my appearance and disappearance is transcendental, such a person can be liberated from this material world. Such a person, but only devotees, the bhaktas knows that. The non-devotees can never know. Krishna may come and stand before everyone, unless one is a devotee, one will not know him. Just like on the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord was there, Lord Krishna was there. He was there. He was in the midst of the battle. All the soldiers, they all saw him. But only few people know that this is God. Only very few people. Arjuna, Bhishma Dev, the Pandavas, maybe Dronacharya. Only very, very few people knows this is Bhagavan, this is God. Everybody else, they just saw him, Krishna, just saw maybe Krishna is a great personality. They didn't know that this is God. Because if they know that this is Bhagavan, God, who everyone should surrender to, who everyone should be his devotee, everybody will lay down their weapons. There'll be no fight. There'll be no Kurukshetra war, isn't it? Everyone will lay down their weapons. All the Kauravas, they say, oh, yes, Bhagavan, this is the what? Let's become his devotees. No more fighting. But now they will not do that, because nobody know that this is God. Everybody think, oh, maybe it's just an ordinary person. So only devotees, whose vision has been saturated with ointment of love, they are the only one who can understand Krishna, who can understand God. Nobody else can understand that. So the Acharya is saying that superior to the avyakta, which means the state of night of Brahma, there's another object which is very different, being the object of worship. These remarkable qualities are stated. This object is invisible, since its very form is spiritual. However, by mercy, it can be perceived. This has been stated already, verse 14. This object is without beginning, sanatana, and is not destroyed when all bodies are destroyed at the end of Brahma's day. So everything gets destroyed in the material world, but in the spiritual world, there is no such a thing as destruction. So which means whatever we can think of about this material world, the spiritual world is completely opposite of that. This material world is asat, and the spiritual world is sat. So it's a sat, chid, ananda. Everything is, and the spiritual world is sat, is eternal, chid, full of knowledge, and ananda, full of bliss. The material world is completely opposite. It's asat, it's temporary, it's achid, it's full of ignorance, and nirananda, full of misery. That is material world. And that's why no one is happy. No one can be happy. But the very nature of this material world is misery. That's the very nature of the material world, is misery. Our so-called happiness, when things are going good for us, it's just a temporary situation. Just to, it's just like a balm. It's just like you're having some big boil on your body. It's giving you so much pain, and then you put some ointment there just to give you some relief, But again, once the relief, after some time, the relief goes away. Then the pain is there. So material world is always full of pain, full of anxiety, but the spiritual world is completely opposite. It's always eternally blissful, eternally of existing. So I just read the next verse, which is text 21. So the Lord is talking about the nature or the nature of that place that is always that remain unmanifest to someone with the materialistic senses, to a materialistic person. That place, the Lord wants to talk about that place, because the Lord said this place is eternal. It's always is not subject to the manifest and the unmanifest nature of this material world. So this next verse is very, 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 very important verse. So the Lord said, "Avyakta ksharatu ityuktas tamahu paramangtatim yam prapana nivatante tadama paramam mama." So this is the thing here. The Lord said that which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which having attained, from which having attained it, one never returns. That is my supreme abode. This translation this translation kind of different from what we have in the original edition of the Bhagavad-Gita. But anyway, okay. So the Lord said that that place which is described as unmanifest and infallible. Infallible means, it's always there. Avyakta. That is supreme destination, which is one is supposed to attain. That place, from having attained, one never returns. The Lord said, this is Tatama Paramamama. So now we read the purport. The supreme abode of the personality of Godhead Krishna is described in the Brahma Samhita as Chintamani Dham, a place where all desires are fulfilled. The supreme abode of Lord Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavan, is full of palaces made of touchstone. There are also trees called desire trees that supply any type of eatable upon demand. And there are cows known as Surabhi cows, which supply a limitless supply of milk. In this abode, the Lord is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, Lakshmis, and he is called Govinda, the primeval Lord and the cause of all causes. The Lord is accustomed to blow his flute, Venu Kwanantam. His transcendental form is the most attractive in all the worlds. His eyes are like lotus petals, and the color of his body is like the color of clouds. He is so attractive that his beauty excels that of thousands of cupids. He wears saffron cloth, a garland around his neck, and a peacock feather in his hair. In the Bhagavad-Gita, Lord Krishna gives only a small hint of his personal abode, Goloka Vrindavan, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. A vivid description is given in the Brahma Samhita, Vedic literatures. Katha Upanishad 1.3.11 states that there is nothing superior to the abode of the Supreme Godhead, and that abode is the supreme destination, Purushana Paramkochi Sakashta Paramangati. When one attains it, he never returns to the material world. Krishna's supreme abode and Krishna himself are non-different, being of the same quality. On this earth, Vrindavan, 90 miles southeast of Delhi, is a replica of that supreme Goloka Vrindavan located in the spiritual sky. When Krishna descended on this earth, he spotted on that particular tract of land known as Vrindavan, comprising about 84 square miles in the district of Mathura, India. So this is such a very beautiful purport that Srila Prabhupada gave. He gave the description of the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. So in the Brahma Samhita, in the I think it's text number 50, text number 54, something like that, whereby it says, Suya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusaka Patarabo Truma Bome Chinta Mai Ganamai Stoya Mamitan Katanata. What's that? You know the verse? Katanata Gama Vansi. What is that? Siyaka, yeah, Duma Bome Chinta Mani Ganamita. Yeah, Katan Gana Chidana Rajoti Ganamayama. I'm become an old man, so yeah, so it's a verse that describes the spiritual world. That describes Goloka Vrindavan. That is a place that actually we already hear it from this purport already. There's desire trees, whereby whatever one desires, the tree can supply anything you want. You go to the tree, that's why we have some few trees here. You can ask the tree anything. Rasagula, paneer sabji, nectar drink, anything you want, the tree will supply. This is called desire tree. You want gold, you want diamond, just ask for it. It will supply, So, and he mentioned that the ground, the floor, is like Chintamani, is gems, purposeful gem, the floor, the ground. And when people are walking, they are like dancing. It's like dancing. When they are walking, it's like dancing. And when they are talking, it's like singing. Actually, in the Gopa Champu, Srila Jiva Goswami was writing that he said that if by walking it's like dancing, he said that how can we even think of that when they actually have to dance itself? How beautiful that's going to be when they actually dance. Because by walking it's like dancing, in the spiritual world. And when people they are talking, it's like singing. So Jiva Goswami is saying that how much beautiful that's going to be when they actually have to sing. Just imagine. So that's the spiritual world that they describe. But when I say Lord Brahma, because he's a pure devotee of Krishna, the current Lord Brahma is Krishna's pure devotee. So he sees the whole law, he sees the spiritual world. He can see. When you read the chapter in the Canto 2 or Canto 3, whereby how Lord Brahma saw the vision of the spiritual world, so he's able to see and I give the actual description. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in South India, he discovered this 5th chapter of Brahma Samhita, which only described the spiritual world. And of course, Srila Prabhupada also made a reference here to that the fact that the present Vrindavan, which is located here, southeast of Delhi, that Vrindavan is a replica of Goloka Vrindavan. Now, if a non-devotee comes here to Vrindavan, and you tell him that Vrindavan is a replica of the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, he's going to say, are you crazy or what? You come to Vrindavan, the garbage everywhere, pigs everywhere, sewage everywhere, isn't it? This is Vrindavan. He's going to say, you're nuts. What are you talking about? See, the point is that the real Vrindavan cannot be manifest to non-devotees. There was a story one time when Srila Sanatana Goswami was here in Vrindavan, and I think the king of Delhi, he was staying in Agra at that time, King Akbar. So he came to Sanatana Goswami, and he told him that, I'm ready to do anything for you here in Vrindavan. What do you want? You want a temple? Whatever, I'm ready to do any service for you. So Srila Sanatana Goswami did not pay him any attention, but he took up, he just simply, because that time Srila Sanatana Goswami, he was residing by the side of Yamuna. So he just took a mud from Yamuna and put that on the hand of the king. He just put in his hand, you know. So now what happens is that when he opened his hand, he was very surprised that the mud has turned to very valuable jewels, which surprised that he said, I don't even have this in my palace. Even though he was the king of India, they doesn't have that kind of thing, what that mud has turned into. Because the Vrindavan is a land of Chintamani, you know, such a, you know, it's touchstone, but the only devotees can see that, non-devotees cannot see that. So the Lord is saying here that having gone there, that place, that's the supreme abode. Yam Prapana Nivatante, that place, when one attends that place, one does not return to this material world. That is my supreme abode. Of course, in the chapter 15 of the Bhagavad-Gita also, so the Lord also talks about the spiritual world. He said, Natabashate Suyo, Napabankuna Pabaka, was that place, there's no moon, there's no sun, you know. That place always is self-illuminated, you know. It's a dark place, you know. That is my supreme abode. The Lord said that Yagatwa Nandivatante. So you can see it's the same thing. Here I say Yam Prapya Nandivatante, and the later the Lord say Yagatwa Nivat. Having gone there, one does not return to this material world. That place is my supreme abode. Actually, the Lord said, you come there, you don't come back to the material world. Because material world is a place of misery, but in the spiritual world, it's eternal. Once one attains it, one does not come down. So therefore, Jiva cannot fall from the spiritual world. The Lord said that. It's there in the Bhagavad-Gita, it's there in the Bhagavatam. The Prabhupada said that it's the fact that no one fall from the spiritual world. Yeah. So, of course, this statement sometimes become controversial in our society. Because there are some devotees that say, oh, we come from the spiritual world. And some devotees say, no, we don't come from the spiritual world. Because it's there, the Lord said in the Gita that, no, you are there, you do not fall down. You don't come back to the material world. Because falling down is due to ignorance, you know. But there's no ignorance in the spiritual world because it's a place of light. There's no darkness there. Because darkness, which is the opposite, which is the ignorance, is the cause of fall down. Darkness is due to having not known. So therefore we fall down, you know. The living entities were part of Tatashta Shakti, the Lord's marginal potency. When because there's no knowledge of the spiritual world, the gain is not there of the Lord's manifestation. So because that knowledge is not there, so the tendency is to look towards Maya, to look towards material energy, turn the back towards Krishna, look towards material energy. At the moment you do that, you get captured by Maya. So you're here in the material world. You get captured by Maya, and then samsara, repetition of birth and death, in different spaces of life. Sometimes you are Brahmaji, and sometimes you are, you know, sometimes you are insect. Abrahma Bhavana Loka, Purna Vatina. So the Lord mentioned this in this chapter 8. So we have to give proper deliberation on what's been explained here. The proper deliberation should be there of that place whereby having attained, one does not come. Tad Dhamma Paramamama. That is my supreme abode. So therefore, devotees do not make any any effort to try to perpetuate their existence in this material world. They don't make any effort to build a kingdom in the material world. Because whatever kingdom you build, it will collapse. It will collapse. Just like if a child, it's on the side of it's on the beach. A child is on the beach, in the ocean, on the seashore, and then he's building so many castles, building the castles on the beach. So building a castle, and then the wave comes, wipe it out. The wave comes and wipe out whatever has been built. So what is the value of such effort of building so much castle and then on the beach, on the sand, and then the sea comes and wipe it out? So similarly also, this material world is like that. Whatever we attain, whatever we build, ultimately will be taken away. So all our efforts become none. So how should we actually apply our effort? Our effort should be applied towards attaining God realization or Krishna consciousness. Our effort should be towards that, not to try to be something in the material world that is eventually going to be taken away. Our life is so temporary. How long can we live? Now in this stage, in Kali Yuga, men live for 100 years, the topmost. That is just the topmost. Somebody may be lucky to live for 110. We've heard of some old people, they live for 115 years or 120 years. But their life is so miserable like anything. You cannot do anything with the body anymore. The body is so old, you can't do nothing with the body. You cannot enjoy the body once you're that old, isn't it? So what is the value of even such a longevity? So therefore, Bhagavatam said that yes, once you to realize that purposeful end that will give, permanent results. Once you apply to that purpose, that end, and that end is Krishna consciousness, understanding one's relationship with the Lord, with the Supreme Lord, which is called Sambandha, know who you are, and knowing what is your relationship with the God. And then what do you do to apply that relationship, which is called Abhidai. Yes, I apply that relationship, and we do that under the guidance of an expert spiritualist. In this case, a guru who self-realized, who knows God, and who can actually guide us towards that attainment, towards that ultimate attainment. So this is what the Lord is saying here. That yes, Paras Tasma to Bhavanyo. Okay. Yeah, Paras Tasma to Bhavanyo, Vyaktu Vyakta Sanatana, Yasa Saveshu Bhutesu, Nashetu na Vinasheti. Yet there's another or manifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Avyakto aksharat ityuktas tamaham paramam gatim yam prapyana nivatante tadama paramam mama. That which the Vedantis describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. So this is what the Lord is saying. Yeah, go up Pimenande. Any question?
This is a replica. So when material world is destroyed, they say this stays. How to understand? On what basis?
Yeah.
Material world is destroyed. This is not affected. How to understand that?
Yeah, this is explained in the Brahma Samhita, no, in the Bhagavad-Gita by Srila Sanatana Goswami. He had written how the Vrindavan, Puri, Jagannath Puri, they remain as it is. They're not Jagannath Puri. They remain as it is. Just like it described the travels of Gopal Kumar. who was traveling from material world to the spiritual world, and after billions and billions of years, after several dissolutions, he came back to Vrindavan, and then Vrindavan still remains the same thing as he left it before. So, but this is difficult for us to understand unless one is a devotee. Only devotee can understand this. So that's as they say that if there is a bottle of honey, and if there's a bottle of honey, and the honey it's sealed, so the only way to taste that is to open the lid, then you can taste the honey. But if you're just looking from the outside, you can never taste the honey. So in order to really understand the bhakti ras, the taste of bhakti, then one has to open it by being the association of those highly elevated spiritualists, and they're trying to open it and trying to taste. Otherwise, we can just speculate. We can only speculate that this is that, this is good, So we can never really fully appreciate the holy dam like Vrindavan or Puri. We can never really appreciate it unless we actually become devotees and follow the footsteps of the great devotees. Okay? Any other point? You have a question? Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, in Golo Vrindavana, does material bodies exist or there are souls only?
No, we are in the material world. So the souls, they have material body, and this is temporary. But Goloka Vrindavan is eternal body. There is no material body there. Everyone has got spiritual body. Everything is fully spiritual. The body is spiritual, and there's no disease, there's no old age, there's no death. It's always there eternally. So in the spiritual world, because everyone is so there's no such a thing as birth and death, because there's only spiritual body. However, when Lord Krishna comes to the material world, he does not have material body also. He comes in a spiritual form. He comes in the self-same spiritual body when the Lord comes to the material world. So which means the Lord, his body remains the same. He's always remained youthful. Now, Yovana means he's always remained, youthful, like that.
What do you mean to say eternal body? What is eternal?
Yeah, eternal body means a spiritual body. That's eternal body, he says.
This body or is
No, this body is material body, which is subject to old age, disease, and death. That's your body.
having a form and shape?
There is another form within you, because you yourself, you are inside the material body. You yourself, you are spiritual, because you are eternal. Even though you may you take birth, you die, and then another birth, but your eternal soul, who is inside the body. However, when you attain spiritual perfection, when you become self-realized, at spiritual perfection, you will get a spiritual body. But that spiritual body, you will not get it in this material world. It's when you attain liberation, then you get spiritual success, then you get spiritual body, and that body is eternal. That body is eternal, it's full of knowledge, and it's full of bliss, happiness. Whereas now you're in the material body, and the material body is giving you all kind of trouble, because material body is a temporary, is made up of temporary elements. It's temporary. But your spiritual form, which will come to you, which you will have, you will obtain after spiritual perfection, that's eternal. So in this Bhagavad-Gita, the Lord's talking about that spiritual body, which will be attained, and you get that spiritual body in the spiritual world, and that spiritual world is always there. There's no destruction. It's always there eternally. But whereas this material world is a temporary place, and it's full of darkness. We can only see only by the grace of the sun. We can only see. We can, otherwise everything is dark. But in the spiritual world, there's no moon, there's no sun. It's self-illuminated. So that's the difference. So you should read Bhagavad-Gita often. Try to read Bhagavad-Gita, and especially read Bhagavad-Gita with the association of devotees, with the advice of devotees. Try to read Bhagavad-Gita, Then you will come to understand all these things. Okay? And try to come to temple often, do some savor, some service to Bhagavan, to the Lord, and not that. Then you will get the realization by rendering service to the Lord, to the temples, to the devotees, like that. Okay? Another point? Okay, thank you very much. Sri Krishna Balaram ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Hare Krishna.